So let's look at a utility that can help you with your shell history. What's up guys, this is Josh back with another video, and today I wanted to show you guys something interesting that can help you within the shell in Linux, and specifically the shell history. If you guys have used the terminal, you've probably heard of the history command, and you've probably searched through that history looking for commands that you ran. You may have forgot what command you ran to do a specific task. Well, the history command comes in handy when you're trying to figure out those commands that you ran in the past so you can run them again for whatever purpose. Well, there's a new utility that I ran across while looking through the Orch user repository, and the name of it is Mcfly, and it was super interesting, and I thought I would share it with you guys. So let's hop over to the website for it so you guys can check out what I'm talking about.
Before we move forward, I wanted to ask the KeepItTechie fan to consider joining my channel membership. By joining the membership, you can support the channel, get access to member-only videos, tech mentorship, early technical course access, and exclusive Linux content. Thanks, and back to the video.
Okay, cool. So as you can see, I'm at Mcfly, and the maintainer, or the name of the repository, is Cantina. I believe that is the owner of the repository, but Mcfly is super cool. It basically says it flies through the shell history. Great Scots. So that's why they named it Mcfly. It's basically a reference to Back to the Future. And you know, that's super cool because, you know, that ties to history. You know what I'm saying? It's super cool the way they named it and came up with the command. But as you can see, let me go through and do a little reading on it so you guys can see what it is. But it says Mcfly replaces the default control or shell history search. And if you guys have never heard of that, I don't think I did a video on it before. But when you're in the terminal, you can hit Ctrl-R and it'll bring up a little prompt that allows you to search your history. Well, Mcfly replaced this, and one cool thing about it, like I said in the past, I think I did a video talking about how Rust is being used to recreate tools or create new utilities. Well, this is a Rust utility, or it's written in Rust, so that's super cool. This is one of those Rust utilities that are out there now, where it'll help people do certain things in the Linux operating system, as far as like your little utilities and things like that, in order to replace old ways of doing things. Because when I used to run, let's say, the history command, and I've done a video on it, and I need to do another video on it, just an updated video, just showing people this command if they've never heard of it. But history essentially allows you to look at the history of commands that you ran on the system, and it basically prints them out. You know what I'm saying? It'll print out all the commands in like a long list, and you can scroll through them up and down. Well, in order to filter that, you typically have to run it through grep. Well, Mcfly fixes that issue, you know what I'm saying, by allowing you to use search terms. So it's super cool. I'll show you guys a little more. I know sometimes people complain about me talking a lot during the beginning of the video, but I want to make sure people understand what I'm talking about. That's why I kind of over explain myself sometimes, but I want to make sure people understand what I'm talking about before we actually get to it. And I'm gonna start putting the timelines in the video, so people that understand this already, they can skip ahead to the next section. I'm gonna start really focus on doing that for every video. But as you can see, the features, you know, you can rebind Ctrl-R to actually use this, so that's super cool. And it says a small neural network. It says augment your shell history and track commands, exit status, timestamps, and the execution directory in a SQLite database. SQLite database. So it maintains your normal shell history file, so that's super cool. It doesn't bother that. It basically takes that and adds it to their little database that they created in order for you to search through. So super cool. It's written in Rust, so it's fast and safe. Includes simple actions to scrub any history item from Mcfly database in your shell history file, designed to be extensive for other shells in the future. And yeah, it's super cool. It's I think it's available in Fish currently, as well as Z shell. so you can use it in there. And I'll be showing you guys today on Manjaro, which uses Z shell, so we'll get it configured over there as well. But you can check out the rest of this information. They have installation information. You also have configuration things you can do down here with the actual utility. You can kind of change up the way it looks, you know what I'm saying? Like here under the settings, you can go into, you can use your bash or C file, which will allow you to make changes to it. So they got a light mode, Vim key scheme, so you can, you know, modify that, you know, for your key bindings, or Vim key scheme, you know what I'm saying? Fuzzy searching, result count. But anyway, let's go on and hop over to our virtual machine so I show you guys how to get it installed and up and running. And it's super cool. It's in the Orch repository, and like I said, I wanted to use Orch for this, so I spun up a Manjaro virtual machine in order for me to show it to you. So let's hop over there now. All right, cool. So I'm on Manjaro. Let's go down and run NeoFetch so you guys can see what I'm running on. But as you can see, Manjaro, it has the 5.15 kernel, and the default bash is the default shell is bash, and it has plasma on it. So let's go down and clear that right fast, but let's go down and show you guys how to install it. Now, one of the things I need to install is an AUR helper, because this package is in the AUR. And actually, let's switch back over to my browser right fast so I can show you guys a package. But it's Mcfly -git. So that's the actual package name. So we need an AUR helper. You can install whatever AUR helper that you want in order to get this thing installed. So the one I'm going to install is Yay. So actually, let's just do it this way. So Yay-SYU, boom. It's going to ask me if I want to get it installed, and we can go through and install Yay right fast. So that was super simple. That's just a quick way of me actually doing it. I do it that way a lot of times on new systems. I'll just go down and do it that way. Just run the command. It'll recognize the command that I'm trying to run. It'll search for that package name, say, hey, do you want to install Yay? It's not on here, but do you want to install it? And so that's what I did to get it installed. But as you can see, it kind of went out, got the package, installed it, we good to go. Like I said, you can use whatever AUR helper that you want, but I want to use Yay. So let's go down and clear the screen right fast, and let's run Yay-SYU again, just to show that the system doesn't need any updates, because anytime you updating something, you want to make sure the system is good to go. It has all the updates on it, especially on the Orch. A lot of times it's going to force you to install the packages before it installs anything new. So it's always best to do that. That way you don't break the machine, everything is up to date, and you get to go. So now let's go on and install Mcfly. So all we have to do is type Yay -S and then Mcfly -git, press enter, and then we'll go on and install it. It'll install Rust for us. It'll install all the dependencies and all that stuff. Right here it's just asking remove make dependencies after install. I'm gonna just hit enter, use the default. It's gonna keep that there, that's fine. Now as you can see, build file already exists, but the differences to show, I don't want to show any differences, so I'm gonna just press capital N or type capital N, press enter, and then it'll go through the install. It's gonna install Rust first, and then it's gonna install the actual Mcfly package on the system, and that way we can start using it. And I'll be back when it finishes. Okay, cool. So Mcfly is installed on the system, as you can see right there. Package installed, so we're good to go. So Rust is on here, so it can, you know, run a Rust application, and then Mcfly, you know what I'm saying, it's good to go. Now let me show you guys something super cool. All right, fast, let's clear the screen. But I don't know if you guys have ever seen the history command, but if you know have, then you can kind of skip this part, you know what I'm saying. I'm just kind of showing people what the history command does. So if you run history, it'll run through all the commands that you have on the system. Well, not all of them, it depends on the way you configure, you know, history on your system. Depends on the amount of commands. I think the default is like 500, but you could change it to like indefinite if you go into your configuration. I can't remember what configuration it is, but it's a configuration you could change your history, where the history is stored of every command you've ran on the system, to where it never gets rid of anything. It'll keep it all in that same file. Now that's a good and bad thing. So if you run a lot of commands, you know what I'm saying, it'll get to the point where that file is kind of unsearchable because of how big it is. I know it's just text, but it'll take a long time to actually get to that point. So it depends on how long you keep the system up and running, but I always put it on indefinite, you know, and then sometimes I go through and delete some of the stuff if I need to. But as you can see, this system is brand new. I've only ran like 6 or so commands on here. And so Mcfly will allow you to search all of this. And I wish I had more commands in here to show you guys, but we gonna ride with it anyway. You know what I'm saying, the way it is. Now, before we start working with Mcfly, before we start running the commands or whatever, we had to do a quick configuration because it's all dependent on the shell that you're running. And as you see, we're running a Z shell. And so we have to make a quick configuration in our Z shell config in order to, it's basically your Z shell RC file. We have to add one line to it right fast in order to get it to initialize Mcfly each time we open up the terminal. And so just to show you guys what I'm talking about, if we go ls-la, because right now we're in our home directory. That's where we are currently, and we know that by the tilde. So our Z shell or C file is under our home directory, and I just want to show you guys. So this is basically what we need to edit right here. Now if it's bash, then you need to find your bash or C file, which we have one here as well, but this is Z shell, so we know we have to use the Z shell or C file. So we can type nano, and everything in this directory we own, so you don't have to type sudo or anything, you know, like I typically show you guys in other videos. You have to write sudo because those files may be owned by root, but this file is owned by the user. So right now I'm logged in as Josh. This is in my home directory. I own it, so I can do whatever I want with it. So let's type dot / and then dot z shell RC, and boom, let's go in there. And all we have to do is go down to the bottom, and what I typically do whenever I make changes to something, I put some comments in here. So this is for Mcfly. This is just to make sure Mcfly, you know, initializes every time we start up the shell. So it's one, you know, line. All we have to do is type eval, and then quotes, double quotes, and then the $, and then all we have to do is type mcfly, so Mcfly init, and then zsh, so for Z shell. And then let's close out everything. We just put our close bracket on the end, and then our close quotes at the end of it, and that's essentially it. So all we have to do is Ctrl-X. It'll ask you if you want to save those changes, and yes, we want to save those changes. Press enter, and we are good to go. So we did pretty much all the configuration you need to do in order to get Mcfly to run properly. Now that that's done, let's source our Z shell or C file, and all we have to do is type source, and then we could do the exact same thing. So period for the current working directory, / and then Z shell, our hidden file, so Z shell or C file, and press enter, and it'll source that. And then one cool thing about it, it'll start importing the shell history. You know, it'll do this the first time. Now if you have a whole bunch of history in here, it wouldn't take as long as, or it won't take as short as mine did. It may take a long time. So if you got like 500 shells in there, it has to import all of that into the database, so you can start searching through that Mcfly database. All right, cool. So let's go down and clear. And first thing I want to show you guys is how to get help. And that's typically what I do with all utilities I show you from the command line, is how to get help. So Mcfly, and then just like most utilities, they have a -- help. So all you have to do is press that, and that'll give you all the information on how to run Mcfly. So starting from the top, Andrew Cantina, and like I said, it was in that Cantina repository on GitHub. So yeah, that's where it came from. So shout out to him. Shout out to him for actually writing this super cool application. But the usage, simply Mcfly, flags, options, and then the subcommand. So here are your flags. So you can do debugging, you can do, there's a help, it prints helpful information, and then -v. So we could have ran -h as well. I didn't know for sure, but I know -s help normally works. So -h, you could have printed that help history, and then also we could look at the version as well. If you want to go through and run that for the version to see what version you have installed, you get to go. Now here are the options. So history format, so you specify the format, Mcfly history, shell history to read from when adding or searching, you know, defaults to, and then the Mcfly history, and then session ID, so that goes to the session ID, and then here are your subcommands. So you can add commands to history, you can print this message, so that's help as well. Init, initialize, move, search the history, which is the main one I want to show you guys, and then train. You could train the suggestion engine, so that's a developer's tool. Now let's go down and clear this, and let's go through and show you guys the easiest way to run it, or the base way of running Mcfly. So all you got to do is type Mcfly and then search, and then let's search for the pacman command, because I know I ran it one time because I had to update the system. So as you can see, that's it. It lists out, it basically pops you into a, you know, a little screen with a menu at the top. So Mcfly, you got your escape, you got your run, so you can hit enter, and once you select it, and if it was more than one option in there, you'll see multiple of them listed, and then you can just hit run, and then you can tab to edit it, and then also, so that's one cool thing about it as well. So if you hit tab, you can edit the command. So let's say you want to run SYYU, you know what I'm saying, but you just need to know the command up front, so you can hit tab, and that'll help you out right there. And then F1, switch sort to time, and then F2 to delete it out of your history. Now let's just go down and press enter just to run it right fast. So as you can see, it'll put that command, it'll drop that command down to the shell, and then you can run it. Boom. And let's go down and run the Mcfly search again, just to show you guys right there. So Mcfly search pacman, so that's now there. So like I said, whenever you run the command, you know, it'll get stored in your history, and then it'll be available to search under, you know, Mcfly. So I'm gonna hit escape to get out of that, and let's search another term right fast. Yay, which is what we use to install it. So I know we installed Mcfly git, you know what I'm saying, as well as we ran the yay -syu. So cool, it brought up both of those commands, you know what I'm saying. It's not a whole bunch of, you know, duplicates or anything like that, so you're good to go. And then as you can see, it was ran like 5 minutes ago, so it even, you know, puts it in by time, and that's how you can sort by time up there at the top. So if you hit F1, that'll sort it by time. And now that we had that one open, let me show you guys something right fast. So I want to show you guys the tab. So let's select that one right there. So I'm gonna hit the tab key, and that'll drop that command down there without running it. As you can see, it didn't run it like it did last time. And let's change it to SYYU. Press enter, and it corrected it. Yeah, and I know when you run SYY, I believe, in using pacman, that like forces a refresh of the local database, so it may not work the same in yay. So I just ran it the way it put it. Hope I didn't do anything to mess up the system, but whatever. I don't think it messed up anything. It just ran the command. So essentially that's how you do use the tab. So super cool, super easy to use. You know what I'm saying, super easy. Now like I was saying earlier, there is a way to remove commands, so remove stuff from the history. So let's go through and let's see, let's look at what we did. We ran this last, so let's delete that out of there. As you can see, like I said, the options are right up here. It tells you what it actually does. And if we hit F2, so I got a whole function and then F2, and that'll bring it up right there. So delete selected command from history. So all we have to do is type capital Y, and that will delete that from our history. So as you see, that's going. So super cool. Easy way to actually, you know, remove commands that were ran. Now let's say you don't know what you're searching for, you just want to look through everything. All you have to do is type Mcfly and then search and press enter, and that will search through everything, and it looks like it pulled in everything. I just wanted to look Mcfly search, so that will show pretty much everything. And let's exit out again. Hold on, let's see. I don't know why I did that. Press enter. And that's mainly because of the way the shell is set up. I'm not sure why it's not showing everything, but one way to get around that, you can type search, and then you can put 2 quotes, and that'll search for everything. So you may have to use that. Not sure why I didn't show the other one, but yeah, as you can see everything. So when I went in and made changes to the Z shell file, those commands, the nano command, the source command, Mcfly help, you know, pretty much everything. I'm not searching for a specific key term. Now you can filter as well. So if we could type Pac-Man, and it'll start filtering for you, and then yay, it'll start filtering, you know, Neo, you know, it'll filter. All you have to do is start typing it, it'll filter for you. So that's one cool feature of it as well. So let's get out of it. All right, so as you can see, Mcfly is a awesome, you know, utility that can help you with improving, you know, your terminal history searches. So it's super cool. I definitely like it. I definitely suggest it. I want you guys to check it out, try it out on your either OS system. There are ways to get it installed on other Linux distros. I just didn't have the time to show you guys all that, but it's in the documentation how to actually install it. You can install it from, you know, using the GitHub package, you know, all that good stuff on other Linux distributions. But definitely check it out. I think it will help you, you know, with the history command. Like I said, you always, when I used to have to use it, history, I always had to, you know, yeah, I could use ctrl-r, but a lot of times what I was doing was running history and then piping it through grep to use a search term in order to search and find the commands that I've ran in the past using that specific search term. And it's not that this improves on the speed, it just seems like, and what I mean by speed, I'm talking about like typing out your commands in the terminal, but it does improve in other areas because it's still a long command, you know what I'm saying? You have to type Mcfly, but you can filter through the commands, you can, you know, select them, you can edit them, you can delete them, all that stuff from, you know, within this little menu that pops up and everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, leave comments down in the comments below, and of course, keep it techie.